Welcome to The Critique. Today we're looking at a video transcript called Candace Owens versus the English Language.
Right.
It covers her mispronunciations, the feud with Ben Shapiro, a pretty controversial gala, and, of all things, a creatine ad.
It is quite a mix, a little bit of everything in there.
It certainly is. So let's get right into the feedback. The first, and I think probably the most glaring issue here, is that the material suffers from these just really jarring tonal shifts.
Oh, yeah.
And they completely undermine the very serious moral arguments the hosts are trying to make.
It's pure whiplash, isn't it? Because you're starting off with what's basically a blooper reel.
Exactly.
You know, everyone's laughing about posthumorous, making jokes about Hogwarts. It's light, it's fun.
It's satirical.
And then, with almost no transition, you're suddenly hearing Ben Shapiro joke about Luftwaffles, and then we're into this whole thing about a spiritual war and Jeffrey Epstein.
Yes, and by putting those things right next to each other, a simple mispronunciation next to, what they call a moral atrocity, you're kind of suggesting they have the same weight. The listener goes from laughing at a pun about the Nazi Air Force to hearing about a dead friend named Charlie, and then, literally seconds after calling it all disgusting, we get a pitch for a supplement.
It creates a sort of an emotional numbness, because the outrage just evaporates. When the host says, "It is absolutely vile, God disgusting," and then the very next words are, "I wanted to tell you about superpower."
It feels performative.
It does. The transition is just too abrupt. It's structural whiplash.
That's the perfect term for it. So the suggestion here is pretty clear. You have to group this content by its emotional weight. Create distinct containers for the different kinds of critique.
Separate the mockery from the moral stuff.
Absolutely.
You could almost map it out, right? Do a whole comedy of errors segment first. Put all the posthumous stuff, the Hogwarts chess, even the Luftwaffles joking. Let that comedy beat play out and resolve.
And then a hard break.
A hard break, a little bit of silence, maybe a shift in tone, and a simple phrase like, "But beyond the funny missteps, there's something much darker happening."
That one sentence signals everything. It tells the audience, okay, laughing time is over. We're getting serious now.
Yeah.
And we have to talk about that ad read.
The concrete suggestion is just move it.
Please, don't transition from vile and disgusting straight into a sales pitch.
Put it after the lighter stuff. It's so much easier to sell a Jim Bro supplement after a joke about waffles than it is right after a story about a friend who was shot.
It's just about respecting the gravity of the subject matter.
Exactly.
And speaking of that story, that brings us right to the second major critique.
Okay.
The narrative just relies way too heavily on the audience already knowing everything. It creates a lot of confusion, especially around the subjects being discussed.
I felt this so strongly. The Charlie thing?
Yes.
Because early on you hear about Charlie Kirk in this joke about a posthumous birthday present.
Right, because he's alive. That's the whole joke.
But then later, the gala organizer talks about his friend Charlie who was shot and died young. And for anyone who isn't deep in this world, you're left wondering, wait, are these the same person?
It's a perfect example of assuming everyone's in on the joke. The source material is mocking Owens for linguistic imprecision, for using words wrong,
while being narratively imprecise themselves.
The irony is just, it's right there. And it pulls the listener out of the critique because now they're just trying to solve this puzzle instead of absorbing the point.
So the fix here is really about establishing context, right? You have to be explicit.
You have to. Name the players.
You just need one sentence, something like, while Owen's misuse of posthumous for the very much alive Charlie Kirk is funny, the organizer invoking his late friend, a different Charlie, is a whole other thing.
Boom. Done. Problem solved.
Zero context.
Zero. To an outsider, it just sounds like he's having a stroke.
Right. So you just need to preface it, Ben Shapiro is pointing to a pattern in Owens' speech to question her credibility, like her past confusion about basic scientific facts.
And then the clip becomes evidence, not a random piece of audio.
It serves a purpose.
Okay, let's move on to the third critique, which I think is a really interesting one. We're calling it the glasshouse effect. The critique of Candace Owens' intelligence is, well, it's really weakened by the host's own casual and imprecise language.
Yeah, this is always a huge risk when you go after someone's grammar or intelligence.
Is.
They spend all this time making fun of her for saying posthumorous instead of posthumous, positioning themselves as these defenders of the English language.
But then their own commentary is just littered with filler. Like, whatever, man.
There's even a cha-ching in.
Right. And it just creates this dissonance. If you're going to attack someone for their command of the language, your own has to be sharper. It just has to be. Otherwise, you sound like a hypocrite.
I mean, I get that their casual style is part of their brand, chicks on the right and all that.
Of course.
But there's a time and a place. And when you're specifically questioning someone's intellect, you have to bring your A game.
That's the whole suggestion. Elevate the script and the delivery just for those specific segments.
I mean, there's that one line in the transcript. It says, it's like that bone you have in your body, that humor, the humorous bone.
That's right. Oh, no.
It's a verbatim quote, and it's a mess.
It's messy. It's not a sharp takedown.
So instead of that, you script something cleaner. Something like, she seems to be confusing a medical term with the funny bone. It's tight, it's witty, and it actually proves you have the command of language you're accusing her of lacking.
And it means cutting out all the hedging.
Oh, definitely.
No more, I don't know if he was like doing a live or I think they were joking. Find out. State it definitively. It just makes you sound more authoritative.
Which leads us right into the next point, which is how they're using the audio clips themselves.
Ah, yes. The clips are basically being used as reaction bait, not as actual evidence to build an argument.
It's like they're outsourcing the content. They play these long clips and then just follow up with a really generic reaction.
That's weird.
Or, that makes me sick. It's the wow factor without any of the why.
The gala organizer clip is the perfect example. It is so dense. He's talking about a spiritual war, the lies of Big Pharma, Epstein.
And Charlie.
But the hosts only react to the Charlie part. They just leave all this other incredible evidence on the table that would actually support their claim that the whole event is gross.
So the suggestion is to be more surgical.
Exactly. Edit the clips down to the most powerful, the most damning sentences.
And then use your commentary to actually deconstruct the rhetoric in that sentence.
So instead of playing the whole speech, just play the part where he connects Big Pharma and Epstein to Owens' Catholic faith.
And then analyze it. Ask the question, why is he linking Jeffrey Epstein to a prayer gala? That's where the insight is.
Right, not just in saying that guy's gross. And the same goes for Shapiro. After the Luftwaffles clip, you have to explain why he's using that term.
It's not a random breakfast joke.
Not at all. He's referencing the Luftwaffe, the German Air Force from World War II, to mock her about, her recent controversy. If you just say, I bet Tucker eats waffles, you miss the entire venomous point of the insult.
And it makes Shapiro just seem random. But if you unpack it, you show the listener that this feud is deep and it has layers, which actually raises the stakes.
Okay, finally, we have to touch on the sponsorship.
The cretin ad.
The framing of it relies on this sort of pseudoscience language that really detracts from the show's credibility.
This one really jumped out at me. The host says an AI told her to take creatine based on lab work.
An AI told her.
And then she pivots to this Jim Bro science about mental clarity. And it's this casual, trust me approach that sounds so similar to the kind of stuff they were just criticizing Owens for.
It's a consistency issue. You can't spend 10 minutes mocking someone for believing in dreams or not checking facts and then sell a supplement by saying, an AI told me to.
Right. It blurs the line between the host's logic and the very conspiracy logic they're supposedly against.
And then she says, you guys do your research on this.
Oh no.
Which is the catchphrase. It's the #1 catchphrase of the exact people they're making fun of.
It completely undermines their own authority.
So the suggestion is just to reframe it. Talk about your own personal experience.
Right. Not an AI says I need this, but I noticed I had better focus when I started taking this.
It's your subjective experience. It's unassailable. And it keeps you in the driver's seat as a rational person, not just a follower of algorithms.
At the end of the day, it's about credibility. If you're going to set yourself up as the rational observer, your own house has to be in order, from your grammar right down to your ad reads.
Well said. So to just quickly recap for the listener. First, structure. Use containers. Separate the satire from the serious stuff.
Second, narrative precision. Be crystal clear about who you're talking about. The two Charlies.
Third, watch that glasshouse effect. If you're going to critique someone's intellect, your own script has to be sharp.
Fourth, use your clips as evidence to be analyzed, not just as reaction bait.
And finally, keep your ad reads credible. Ground them in personal experience, not in pseudoscience.
The raw material here is fantastic. The feud, the gala, the word fumbles. It's all there.
It just needs a firmer editorial hand. So, to the creators, we invite you to implement these changes. Try out the containers, sharpen up that script.
And really dig into those clips. Find the most potent lines and dissect. It'll make the whole thing so much stronger.
Once you've made those adjustments, please do send the revised script back to us. We would love to do a follow-up. Thank you for listening to The Critique.